James and the Giant Peach. Chapter 37 continued. So there was no less than 7 large fantastic faces peering down over the side of the peach. The centipedes, the old green grasshoppers, Miss Spiders, the earthworms, the ladybugs, the silkworms, and the glowworms. And sort of a panic was beginning to break out among the firemen and policemen on the rooftop. Then, all at once, the panic stopped, and a great gasp of astonishment went up all around. For now, a small boy was seen to be standing up, and there beside the creatures. His hair was blowing in the wind, and he was laughing and waving and calling out, "Hello, everybody, hello!" For a few minutes, the men below just stood and stared and gaped. They couldn't believe their eyes. "Bless my soul," cried the head of the fire department, going red in the face. "It really is a little boy, isn't it?" "Don't be frightened of us, please," James called out. "We are so glad to be here." "And what about those others beside you?" shouted the chief of police. "Are they dangerous?" "Of course they're not dangerous," James answered. "They're the nicest creatures in the world. Allow me to introduce them to you one by one, and I'm sure you will believe me. My friends, this is the centipede, and let me make it known. He is so sweet and gentle, although he's overgrown. The Queen of Spain again and again has summoned him by phone to babysit and sing and knit and be a chaperone when nurse is off and the royal children are all alone." "Small wonder," said a fireman, "they're no longer on the throne." "The earthworm, on the other hand," said James, beginning to expand, "is great for digging up the land and making old soils newer. Moreover, you should understand he would be absolutely grand for digging subway tunnels and for making you a sewer." The earthworm blushed and beamed with pride. Miss Spider clapped and cheered and cried. Could any words be truer? And the grasshopper, ladies and gents, is a boon in millions of ways. If you only have to ask him to give you a tune, and he plays and he plays and he plays. As a toy for your children, he's perfectly sweet. There's nothing so good in the shops. And you've only to tickle the soles of his feet. And he hops and he hops and he hops. "He can't be very fierce," exclaimed the head of the cops. And now, without excuse, I'd like to introduce this charming glowworm, lover of simplicity. She's so easy to install on your ceiling or your wall. And although this smacks a bit of intercity, it's really rather clever. Therefore, after you will never have the slightest need for using electricity. At which no less than 52 policemen cried, "If this is true, that creature will grab some fabulous publicity." And here we have Miss Spider, with a mile of thread inside her, who has personally requested me to say that she's never met Miss Muffet on her charming little tuffet, and if she had, she'd not have frightened her away. Should her looks sometimes alarm you, then I don't think it would harm you to repeat at least 100 times a day, "I must never kill a spider." I must only help and guide her and invite her in the nursery to play. All the firemen nodded and slightly, and the firemen smiled politely, and about a dozen people cried hooray. And here's my darling ladybug, so beautiful, so kind, my greatest comfort since this trip began. She has 400 children, and she's left them all behind. But they're coming on the next peach if they can. The cops cried, "She's entrancing!" And all the firemen started dancing, and the crowds all started cheering to a man. "And now the silkworm," James went on, "whose silk will bear comparison with all the greatest silks there are in Rome and Philadelphia, if you want to search the whole wide world through. From Paraguay to Timbuktu, I don't think you would find one bit of silk that could compare with it. And even in the shops in Singapore that don't have the stuff. And what is more, this silkworm had, I'll have you know, the honor is not so long ago, to spin and weave and sew and press the Queen of England's a wedding dress. And she's already made and sent a waistcoat for you, President." "Well, good for her," the cops cried out, and all at once a mighty shout went up the Empire State. "Let's get them down at once. Why wait?